Hi, Empress Justice Tarot here. If you'd like to check out my daily readings, you can check them out on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. If you'd like to check out the New Moon and Rohini reading, which will be on Empress Justice Tarot YouTube, you can check that out. You can also check out the June 2022 readings, the House of Abundance reading. You can check out that on Empress Justice Tarot YouTube. That is in two parts. The first part discusses the phase of the moon exclusively, and the second part discusses the 12 signs. There will also be a new reading taking place tomorrow live on IG. That will take place at 9 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, or British Summer Time, because we're an hour ahead. So there will be a new reading at 9 a.m. tomorrow. That will be about the full moon in Jeshta, and it will take place on the first quarter moon in Purva Falguni. So that, that should be good. Check that out tomorrow. Update on me. Everything's been relatively quiet over here. I've managed to sort everything out with Pip, so we're all good in the hood. Okay. Everything's been quiet as well, although I think a few people around the village who have been, co-signing with everybody else here, I think they're starting to catch wise to the situation. Now, just because somebody might catch wise to the situation, it doesn't automatically mean they'll do the right thing. So the jury's out on what will happen from, for the next foreseeable future. Only time will tell what will actually happen. I also wanted to talk about Sergeant Jewel Scott, because she actually released a live last night in which she said a lot of revealing stuff about what was going on. She's actually deleted her live because she's not one of those people who likes to be public about everything. I don't know how to download lives as they happen, but I think if she wanted people to save her lives, then she would have saved it herself. She actually revealed a lot of revealing stuff about, there was one incident where she was in a car and a soldier was dead next to her. She had her room broken into multiple times, and all of this started, everything that happened to her started principally because she filed an FG complaint against a fellow soldier who was making tasteless remarks about another soldier who died. I think it was during a training exercise in which they drowned. So there was this other soldier that was making tasteless remarks. She made the FG complaint to her superiors. Next thing she knows, she's getting break-ins. This is why she released a video saying, "I'm in fear of my life," because she was getting break-ins. And she was getting people, talking about her being another Vanessa, I can't remember the name, Vanessa Gilliams or something like that. I might have got the second name wrong. I'm going to have to look that up. But yeah, apparently Fort Hood is literally the largest military base in America. And on top of that, quite a few people in the comments, or at least one person in the comments during Jewel Scott's live, said that Fort Hood was full of shit. So I'm feeling like, I don't know why it's coming back to the name change. I felt like the name change was just a distraction to, to take away exactly how harmful the environment is at Fort Hood. But those are not the only interesting things I picked up about Jewel Scott's case, right? Another thing that I found interesting is that within 2 weeks of making one report, which she made in December 13th, 2.5 weeks later, after she made that complaint, I can't remember which incident she made that report for, because there have been multiple incidents and she's made multiple reports. So 2.5 weeks later, after that report, she got back an A514, basically telling what an A514 is for an officer, especially in the United States, is a failure to adjust form. And what the failure to adjust form is if you have a mental breakdown or you have mental health issues within the army and it's been longer than 6 months, then you are let me think of it. If it's been longer than 6 months, then you're hit with the failure to adjust and you are separated. Now, I think what it means by separated is either you're demoted or you are removed from the army, right? So I think, yeah, the A514, that was basically an attempt to write Sergeant Scott off as crazy for making her reports, to basically pour doubt on everything that's happened to her. It's a standard tactic when you're dealing with a large machine involved in multiple crimes. The first thing they're going to do is they say you're becoming unwell, or, you know, and in some cases, when you're dealing with that level of harassment and that level of brutality that Sergeant Scott was subjected to, you can become mentally ill, you can become suicidal, you can become hospitalized. But the thing is, that emotional trauma that causes you to be placed in such a situation is used against you in order to disprove everything that you've reported. So they literally drive you insane on purpose with reactive abuse. And in Jules Scott's case, some of the most disgusting reactive abuse I've ever heard of. And then when you respond to it in a natural way, meaning you break down, you cry, you get upset, then you're cited as being emotionally unstable, crazy, and paranoid. So it's like they drive you to that level in the first place, and then they use the illness that they created in you against you. And that's exactly what happened to Jules Scott, which is why she had all those issues with being arrested and then hospitalized. She had been hospitalized for depression, but I'm not going to go into too much detail because, again, she basically deleted her life. And again, if she wanted people to know the ins and outs about her life, she would have kept her life up. So I'm going to keep it general as I can. Suffice to say, I don't think this woman's lying at all. I don't think it's a setup. I think she is the one who is being set up, honestly. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But I don't buy that she's a fake and that she's just making all this up, because there are too many things about her story that check out. Another thing that we have to consider is that she's also filed multiple congressionals. And what congressionals are is if an officer is raising the alarm that a military base is behaving in ways that are not conducive to the health and well-being of the recruits there, then that what the congressional is supposed to do is do something about it. But the thing is, by law, I think it's by law, what Congress do is bring it back to command, for command to sort out. Do you remember when David Cameron, I don't know, for those in the UK, I don't know if you remember David Cameron making a speech about how local council should have more control over central government? This is what this kind of reminds me of, right? So say I was to make a complaint to my MPs, right? On House of Lords level. Say if I was to make a complaint to MPs on House of Lords level, they would bring it back down to MPs of House of Commons level. And then the House of Commons would bring it back down to council level. So essentially it would end up with, if there were crimes committed within local council over here in Britain, then it would be local council solving their own crimes, essentially, which is never going to be done. That is precisely the case with what happened with Jules Scott. She filed multiple congressionals and then filtered it on down. She filed multiple congressionals, but the way it works, she complained to Congress, and then Congress brings it to command, and command decides whether or not they solve their own crimes at their military bases. So essentially, military barracks in this regard are completely above the law. And this is what central government does in order to remove responsibility from themselves. When anything is reported to them, they bring it back down to local level so that The authorities within local level are essentially the ones who decide whether crimes are pursued, whether crimes against them being reported are pursued or not. And guess what they're going to choose? Guess what they're going to elect to do? This sounds like targeting to me. This really sounds like targeting to me. Because think about targeted individuals, what happens when we try to report something on government level. Goes back down to, if even reporting to the council will go straight to mental health. Straight to mental health. They won't investigate the situation. They won't investigate what's happening to you. They will go straight to mental health, just like they did with Jules Scott. And the higher up you go, the more likely they are to come back down to the people that you originally complained about and let them solve their own fucking crimes or handle their own fucking misdemeanors. So this is basically what happened with Jules Scott right now. She complained to people within Congress multiple times. They brought it back down to command within the same military barracks that are abusing her. So essentially they're above their law. They put themselves above the law, or the government has put them above the law. Because if you're the ones who are going to be trusted with solving your own crimes, again, it's just like police over here. I'd have no doubt in my mind that military is the same thing, because remember when I called Ministry of Defense and I asked them if they knew whether human subjects were being tested on when it came to DEW weapons. Do you remember that video? I'm going to link it, right? I called Ministry of Defense and they said in order for me to answer the questions on whether people are, whether directed energy weapons or microwave weapons or acoustic weapons are being tested on human subjects, I would have to talk to an individual military barracks in this country. Where does it put them? Above the law. So if I was to join the army and something happens in the army, let's just say I witness a murder, or I witness sexual assault, or I witness anything like that, and I elect to do the right thing and complain to military barracks. Okay, I complain to military barracks, I ain't getting nothing, so I'm going to complain to my local government. The Ministry of Defense over here in the UK would most likely bring it right back down to the military barracks. When you get an organization that is committing crimes and governmental policies put them in place to investigate their own crimes, what do you think are the likelihoods of those crimes being solved? Is what I'm saying. So that's exactly what Jules Scott has been going through right now. And she's been going through a lot of hairy fucking shit. Like the amount of shit that I could say that woman's been going through. You know what? Let me not. Because if she wanted her business out like that, she would have kept her video. But she ain't keeping her video. So I'm sticking to the basics. So in summary, the most important parts of all this is after several complaints made, after one of the complaints she made on December 13th, she was given a failure to adjust form, which is supposed to be given after more than 6 months. She was given this, she was filed with this, right? After 2.5 weeks of making one complaint. 2.5 weeks. Not 6 months, not after 6 months, like it was supposed to be, but 2.5 weeks later after she makes a complaint. That's the first thing you need to pay attention to. So basically they were saying, oh, she's mentally ill, she's making this up. 2.5 weeks after she makes that report. The second thing we need to know is that she's made multiple complaints at government level, and at government level they've brought it right back down to the barracks. So any complaint that is made at that station in Fort Hood, any complaint that's made against them, it's Fort Hood that has to do something about it. And again, if you have been committing crimes and you are in a position to investigate yourself, are you really going to do it? Why don't you ask the Met Police over here in the UK? whether or not they're going to solve their own crimes? Why don't you ask the military barracks over here whether or not they're going to solve their own crimes? Why don't you ask the local councils over here whether or not they're going to solve their own crimes? Hell, why don't you ask the charities over here in the UK whether or not they're going to solve their own crimes? This is exactly how targeted individuals stay targeted. Because the more disparate one level of government is from another, is the more likely there is for a shadow government to be formed, because there's no middleman to attach it to. If central government is disparate from military barracks and police, if every section is governing itself essentially by policy, then the shadowy government has more room to grow, because nobody's going to know where that shadowy government is coming from. They can literally come from anywhere, from any department. So it's a network within a network that enables targeted individuals to continue remaining targeted. Baby, that's all I'm saying. Listen. It's corrupt out here. The corruption out here is wild. I want to thank Sergeant Scott for talking about everything that she's spoken about. I'm sorry that I didn't stick around for the rest of the live, because I knew she wouldn't keep that live up. But this is why it is so important to use your brain, and to use your brain, look around you. Before you decide somebody is crazy for talking about what they're going through, use your fucking brain. Do your research. Or if you don't want to know, then just say you don't want to know and keep it pushing. Don't act like you know when you don't. Don't act like you know what you don't. You don't act like you know when you don't. Don't act like you know when really you just want to escape. Don't do that. But yeah, the corruption out here is wild. And the horrible part is that you've got these TIs out here, white, straight, Christian TIs, playing that same game that the eugenics are playing. They don't even realize it. Christian too. They're playing the same game that was played back in the fucking mid-30s, mid to late 30s, mid to late 1930s. They don't even understand. They don't even get it. History is repeating itself right in front of our eyes, because people are failing to spot the corruption and failing to spot the lies, where the lies are. Do you understand? The same people that were made vulnerable during the time of like the last Holocaust is the same people that are going to be made vulnerable now, because people don't listen. It's bad. It's really, really bad. The corruption is just next level. Next level. People have no idea. But yeah, Jules Scott, shout out to her. Ju.baby. Check out Ju.baby _ at Instagram. That's her page. If you want to follow her on that, the next time she makes a live, make sure to really listen to what she's saying. Take as many notes as you can, but if you're going to report on everything that she said, try to keep it as official as possible. If she reveals anything personal about herself, try to keep that at a minimum. She's a very private person, so try to keep that at a minimum if you can. As for me, I'm going to go. I've got stuff to do today. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do it because it's fucking raining. Lucky me. But yeah, you guys take care of yourselves. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye.